break.
Got open man. DJ Moore. End zone. Touchdown. Touchdown Bears.
I am Jeff Joniak.
Blitz is on. Down he goes. Brisker.
What was it like playing for Coach Ditka?
I don't want to answer any questions like that.
Pressure coming. He's in big trouble. Down he goes. Montez Sweat.
And take it.
Now, Bears Etc. brought to you by Miller Lite with the voices of the Bears, Jeff Joniak and Tom Thayer.
Analysts all over the NFL landscape have spent a lot of time breaking down the 2025 Bears, forecasting how this season may unfold, how second-year quarterback Caleb Williams will develop, and what will the Ben Johnson-led Bears look like. We discuss all of it with former Bears quarterback and 14-year NFL veteran turned analyst Chase Daniel. This is episode 148 of the Bears Etc. podcast with Super Bowl winning Bears guard Tom Thayer. I'm Jeff Joniak. We are brought to you by Miller Lite. Enjoy. It's Chase Daniel. As he pointed out about a year ago on this very podcast, so we rarely have a repeat. So you must have really impressed us. Chase?
I feel honored. Seriously. Feel honored.
Right. Well, by way of people getting to know what you've been doing, you keep expanding your portfolio of media. So let me get this straight. The Athletic, which there's a lot of YouTube attached to that. I'm a big fan of The Athletic. I think they do a great job. You do your quarterback breakdown still on YouTube? Yeah?
Yes, sir.
And then The Facility on FS1. Explain that one to those who don't know what that is, because and I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
so shame on me.
Right? We named it literally after the NFL Facility. It's 4 former players, Emmanuel Acho, James Jones, Shady McCoy, and myself as the quarterback, and we just talk ball. And literally we talk football. We talk a little bit of basketball during basketball season, but it's mainly a year-round football show where we dive into the locker room, where we break down film, where we have conversations like we do in the locker room. It's sort of unfiltered. It's way less debatey, right? We're getting away from that debate. It's more conversation on what we're seeing, how we're doing. And so it's been fun. I mean, it's been, I thought I worked a lot playing football, but man, this is an everyday show. It's from 7 a.m. Pacific to 9 a.m. Pacific. So 9 to 11 Central in the morning. And it's just a good alternative to like, hey, you want to turn on some ball and listen to us crack jokes on each other, have fun and everything like that. It's been a lot of fun.
And the UFL, right? You started doing that analysis work on the UFL?
That was a big one.
How do you like it?
I appreciate it. I love it. I absolutely love it. Look, we've been trying to get into this game calling analyst mode, right, for a while, just because I feel like I see the game really well from being around different coaches. And that's just sort of I feel like niche of things that I'm really good at versus the opinion show, right, that we're on. And so I was able to do it. And it was really good. I mean, we had a game where it was, I've done 2, but the first game, I mean, it's crazy. They were the worst teams in the league, right? 1-6, but we ended up having like 80 offensive points scored. So it was just nonstop, like 6 turnovers in my first game. I'm flipping over my call sheet, like who's who? And I'm like, but it was great. And then this last game, there was like a 55-minute rain delay. So I had to fill for 55 minutes. So I'm like, it could not get any crazier. I feel like I've had the game, but I absolutely love that and definitely want to step into that role as I continue to get older.
Tom, what advice would you give Chase on that? Because this is your 29th year doing it.
Well, and I played in the USFL, which is now the UFL, and I always got that's where I got my start. Listen, Chase knows enough about football that, and we probably see it. We probably look at it at the beginning of a play a little differently. He looks at it through an eye of a quarterback, and I look at it through an eye of like the centerpiece of the offensive line, the 2 guards and the center, and I look at the balance of their stances, what hash mark they're on, blah, blah, blah. But the FS1 show, man, I can think of 1,000 topics that I would love to ask you about, but I'm not going to, whether it be about the Stephon Diggs stuff or the Aaron Rodgers stuff, but I'm not going to go there.
Thank you. We've covered it all. I'm talked out on that.
Chase, so I was looking up kind of to get a little bit of a feel from your career. So in 1994, they put in the listening device in the quarterback's helmet. And so I'm thinking of Caleb Williams. So now here he is, and he's in 3 systems in 3 years. When you think about the listening device in your helmet, does that expedite the learning curve for a quarterback? Or does it kind of allow the coaching to give a couple hints during the course of the play, or or am I overlooking it and it doesn't factor in at all?
I don't think you're overlooking it. That's a good way to look at it. I can only speak from my experience. 14 years I was with Sean Payton, Andy Reid, and they're the ones that are pushing the button on the mic, talking to the quarterback. So I've heard them in my headset in the games that I've played. And rarely is it any advice. It's formation, it's play call, it's personnel. And sometimes some other coaches like to talk a lot longer than others. And sometimes you have to wave them off because they just keep talking. And you're like, stop talking. I'm trying to call the huddle in the play. And there might be like 10% of the time, hey, watch the safety here. Or, hey, red zone alert blitz. Like those are as far as it goes, because let's be honest, right? You have a 40-second play clock. By the time the end of the play is going and they get the next play, there's hopefully 30 seconds. And then some coaches take 10 seconds and you're huddled with 20 seconds. And then you're trying to spit it out twice to the offensive line and receivers and running backs. And then you're trying to break the huddle. And then you're going up to the huddle and you're saying, oh my gosh, if there's an audible, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the quarterback's mind. So I think more coaches often than not, they try to simplify. Hey, just call the play. You have a lot to think about, and then we'll make adjustments on the sideline.
So throughout the course of your career. So, and when I was playing with the Bears, it would be Dennis McKinnon, Willie Gault, Dennis Gentry, Emery Moorhead, Tim Reitman. They would shuttle in the play from the sideline. And now they got to remember exactly what they heard and how to say it, and present it to the quarterback. Did you ever play in an era where they had shuttled from the sideline, or was it you're kind of a modern day guy that's always been a part of the listening device?
So that's a hilarious story. And I'm going to tell you something, but first, like, I remember like when I first got into the league, Drew Brees, that's who I learned under, one of the greatest to ever do it, and will be a first ballot Hall of Famer easily. He was old school in the way that he wanted to memorize everything. So we would have quizzes on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And if I say the formation and the personnel, you better tell me the play. And if I say the play, you better tell me how many formations we have it out of. If I say two jet, all go, you better say, hey, double right, zebra right, and trips right. Like that's it's a lot more intricate than that. But so I came up learning and memorizing formations in case the headset were to go out. Right. And so we had a situation in 2017 over in London. We were playing the Lions. I'm the backup. Breeze is obviously the starter. I'm telling you, first series of the game, the headset went out. Like, could not hear a word. Sean Payton goes, Chase, get over here. Bunch right, zebra right. That's all he give me. Bunch right, zebra right. I'm like, So it really like all led up to that point. I'd run out half field. I'd say bunch right, zebra right, and Drew would be like, okay, I got it. So we would be studying that together. That lasted for a quarter, and it really helped the formations and personnel groupings and the whole play call get in and out. It's not ideal, but that's the situation I've been in. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've worked my whole life to do it. It's never happened again. But I was like, finally, like I get to use it and I understand it. And it was like a quiz on the field and I'm running in and out. It was insane. But yeah, that's a good observation by you.
I've never asked this question. I should have. No huddle. How does this work?
That's a great question. So a lot of times, if you're not doing it in the middle of the series, if you're just saying, hey, no huddle offense, mostly for NFL is 2-minute drives. A lot of times there's singular words that say, hey, Arizona or Cardinal will tell you formation, play call, protection, route, everything all in one. It's like a one-word thing. With Kansas City and Alex, Andy Reid liked to call the 2-minute. He would call the 2-minute. Now, when I was with Breeze, and I've been in that situation before, Sean Payton was turn his headset off and said, Breeze, you got it, and would interject on third down and red zone. So it's differing, right? So you would be at the huddle, hey, trips right, 22 paint, and you give the signal for Arizona, you give the signal for, all go or whatever it is. And some people have different ways of doing it. Now, where I've seen a lot of these newer age college and younger college quarterbacks coming up, that's how they did it in college. So that's how they feel comfortable with it. So there might be a series or two in the game, hey, where Ben Johnson says, hey, Caleb, let's go no huddle here. And it'll be exactly that. They'll have they can have under center 5 words, and they can have shotgun 5 words. And hey, here's the words we're doing, and we can put in runs, we can put in passes. It's just a way, I think, for quarterbacks to just play fast, because sometimes you can overthink things. As a quarterback especially, you want to just play fast and play in rhythm and react. And I think that's really helpful for young quarterbacks.
This podcast is brought to you by the official beer partner of your Chicago Bears. Tastes like Miller Time, Chicago. Go to MillerLite.com/BearsPod to find delivery options near you. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Quickly, going back to the 80s, when we started a 2-minute drill, we would always call 2 plays in the huddle. All right, 2 minute, 2 plays. And so McMahon would call 2 plays. And if the first play was successful, we'd automatically go to the line of scrimmage. We're there. We're running it. So when in the modern day, 2 minutes or a sped up offense, is it always just one play called and then you'll call the next play, or do you ever have that philosophical thinking of 2 plays called at once?
I've gotten 2 plays coming in from the sideline when the clock is stopped. I've never, in my experience in the offense I've been in, we've never gotten 2 plays while the play is going on. It's always as quick as you can, as efficient as you can. So there's 1 play. I have, however, gotten 2 plays from the sideline. Or, if there is a clock stoppage, a timeout, out of bounds, something like that, I have had coaches that say, hey, trips right, all go special, kill nickel 40 draw. Hey, if they're in 2 high, kill the draw. We got plenty of time. Hey, if it's a single high, let's run that. There are different ways to get the plays, but mostly when you're at the line of scrimmage, if you're going in a hurry, then you're going to be 1 play. However, when we were there with Nagy, and Mitch really liked this, we would have an on-the-ball bunch right formation, and we go, hut, and we just feel it. The coaches would see it. We'd have 4 or 5 plays to get to. Nagy would call in. Mitch would call, hey, let's do this. Or Mitch would have a play call like, hey, he could pick it. So it was different options. It just depends on what your quarterback's like. A lot of times quarterbacks, they want to be told what to do, especially younger guys. The older guys like Breeze, like, I'm picking. I am doing it because I want to get in. A lot of times, though, with these quarterbacks, maybe they're not seeing it as well, or maybe they're not doing this, that, and another. They want to have the coach call it in.
How many years will that take?
Well, I mean, we've installed it. We've installed 2 or 3 check with me packages in a week. So
well, what I'm saying is for a young quarterback. So Caleb's year 2.
Yeah.
Now we're stripping it down to the bare wire again. Does it take a quarterback 5 years, 10 years to say, okay, I'd like to call myself? Or earlier than that?
Yeah, I just think that some quarterbacks don't even want to. And quite honestly, I feel like it's more so the offensive coordinator doesn't want the quarterback to because he doesn't trust them.
Yeah, I get it.
He's like, hey, I know my way and I understand. And we talk pregame on what you don't like. And I think that's what Ben Johnson does with Jared Goff. He'll cross out a play on a call sheet if Jared Goff didn't like it. The play ain't getting called unless the quarterback loves it and feels convicted enough. And I think that's what you're going to see with Caleb. They're going to have that open conversation. That's why I was with Ben Johnson in 2020. He was tight ends coach for Matt Patricia at the time. And so you could feel and you could tell he was going to be a star, mainly because of how he talked to us in offensive meetings, his genius. He doesn't really have one set of system. And he'll say this, he's taking stuff from everywhere and trying to mold it. And there's going to be some stuff you see that Detroit did last year that Chicago's not even going to touch because Jared Goff and Caleb Williams are 2 completely different quarterbacks that feel completely different against different route concepts and different runs and stuff like that. And I think that's where Ben Johnson really shows his genius.
We're brought to you by PNC, official bank of the Bears.
Let's go to week 1 of the NFL season. You got J.J. McCarthy, first-time starting quarterback, but he's been in the system for 2 years. Then you got Caleb Williams, who's got a ton of snaps, but he's in his first year in the system. Of that quarterback, those 2 quarterback, who has more experience to you?
Oh, it's easily Caleb. I mean, look, I don't call, and I would say a lot of people, like personally for me, you don't have experience till you play. There is nothing like playing the game of football. I don't care if it's preseason. I don't care if it's reps. I don't care if you've repped a play 100 times in practice. It doesn't even remotely come close to playing in a game. And so that's been my whole thing about Minnesota. I think Minnesota probably has one of the best rosters just up and down, right? They won, I think, 14 games. They're a half away from being the 1 seed. This entire division you guys are in, man, it is tough. But like JJ did well at Michigan, and he played well for 30 plays in a preseason game. But there's gonna be some growing pains with Minnesota. Like with Kevin O'Connell, I don't bet against him, but there's gonna be some growing pains because the guy's never played. And he didn't have a lot of snaps at Michigan. They didn't trust him to do a lot of stuff on third down in Michigan. Now, I think JJ's a good player, but there's going to be some growing pains that come with a rookie quarterback. He was hurt. He never played.
Did any coaches in your long career adjust your footwork or your style of throwing the football for any reason to fit what they feel is best for that offense or best for you as a quarterback to develop? And the reason I bring it up, it may sound simple. Hey, Caleb did his right foot forward his whole career.
I was just about to say that.
Now he's switching it to left foot forward. And I don't know, as a guy who
is he left foot forward now?
Yes.
Interesting.
So you're in a position. So you're in a position to you get back there and you're ready to rip it.
The one thing that I was going to bring up, I didn't realize he switched left foot forward. That was one thing that was talked about. Like, hey, why don't you just try like left foot, like see what it's at? And I'm like, absolutely not. Like, why would I like? And it wasn't even like I don't trust you. It's like, dude, I've been doing it and it didn't really make a difference. I do know people that have had success going to left foot mainly because of quick game. So when you're left foot up, it's punch step, boom, get the ball out. And I think that's really where it becomes a little bit more of an advantage because now everything's 2 and 4 step drops, right? It's not 3 and 5 step drops. So you are a little bit quicker. There's a little bit more of a rhythm. But like I haven't studied to that depth Caleb's footwork, but I'm guessing if he's never done left foot up, it will take some time to get used to. Even if think about if you're left foot up, just a handoff to the left, do you step left foot first? And if you're in the gun, or do you step right foot first versus right? It just comes naturally. You're just like, oh, you don't even think about it. So I think this is a time to end up doing it. But I do understand the pros of switching, and it I don't think it'll be a big deal. But it could help him specifically, in my opinion, like with some quick game footwork.
Good news, Chicago. United Airlines is getting brand new planes with all the bells and whistles like Bluetooth connectivity, screens at every seat, and room for everyone's roller bag. United, proud to fly the Chicago Bears and you too.
So, Chase, last year the Bears had a center who was left-handed, and he shotgun left-handed and under center right-handed.
Awful.
So now they bring in Drew Dahlman's got a lot of experience at center position, the consistency of a right-handed snap, shotgun, or under center. Is there a conversation that if a new center was coming in, is there anything that you'd have to talk to him about, or is it you play your game and help me play my game better?
It's a fine line. It's a fine line between how much Caleb wants stuff a certain way. If Caleb, hey, take some heat off the snap and shotgun, try to, and this is, no centers could ever get this right. I'd be like, just put the ball on my right pec every time. So it's just ready to, no one could get that right. But I do think under center it's different. And I do think that a center and a quarterback on the same page, not necessarily when it comes to the fundamentals, but when it comes to protections, when it comes to tempo, when it comes to in and out of the huddle, that is something that I think Drew Dahlman brings to the table with Caleb. And I think that's something Caleb can lean on with Drew because Drew's played a lot of snaps.
Are aches, pains, or injuries keeping you on the sidelines? Well, Athletico's movement experts are here to help you turn your setbacks into comebacks and create a personalized game plan for your recovery. With no prescription or referral needed, Athletico Physical Therapy is where your comeback story begins. Athletico is proud to be the official physical therapy partner of the Chicago Bears. You've been very positive about the Bears throughout everything they did this offseason.
Yeah.
This has been going on now for 3 off seasons. The roster now has more dudes than it ever had in recent years here. Yeah. So now you got to bring it all together, of course. There's still some decisions to be made. Everybody's learning everything new, ripping it like again today at the podium. Ben Johnson. It's not just Caleb stripping down to the bare wood. It's every position. This is the way we want it, getting it all done now. So everybody's adjusting and doing so under the guise of, hey, get it right. Get it right the first time. If it's not right, we're going to redo it. So this is the new thinking, and this is the approach. Why have you been high on the Bears in what arguably is the most challenging, in my opinion, and difficult division? It's going to be a true black and blue ball up your fist. All due respect, AFC West and all those great coaches and the AFC North, but I mean, it is going to be some kind of show here in 2025 in the division.
It is, and I do think it's the best division in football. Just top down, bottom up. Like if you're saying the Bears are the worst team in the division, I'm like, oh my God, that's insane, because I think the Bears are a 10-win team, 11-win team if they put it together. There's going to be some growing pains. For me, I remain positive because eventually, when you have a roster like this and when you build it the right way, when you go out and you get 3 brand new offensive linemen that have played extremely high level football, from Jonah Jackson to Joe Tooney to Drew Dalman, and you have the skill players that you have with DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, and then you draft a Missouri guy. Come on now, Luther Burden.
Yeah, Tiger.
DeAndre Swift in the backfield. Cole Kmet, I think, is one of the better tight ends of football. And then you draft with your first pick an offensive player. I mean, they are doing everything in their power to put a super team offensively around Caleb Williams. It will come down to how Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson handle this season. And then you look at the hiring of Ben Johnson, right? We can predict and we can say this and that. I've been with Ben. I like his style. I know what he brings to the table. You pair that with a defense, and look, Chicago's always been known for its defense. Obviously, still, I hate to say it, no 4,000-yard passer. Okay. I think this is the year where the Bears sort of flip that upside down. I think the Bears become an offensive football team. Now, you have to play good defense in that division, but if Caleb can play up to what a lot of people in the Bears think he can, they're going to be a dangerous team. Now, there is going to be some growth that's needed from Caleb, but I do think the hiring of Ben Johnson, I do think all those offensive skill players, if Caleb can just get it through his head that, hey, I don't have to be perfect on every single play, and I don't have to make plays by myself. Like I felt like he played some hero ball last year, and he played some hero ball the year before at USC. Now, his junior year, he relied back at USC, you got to go back 2 years, he relied a lot on the players around him. If he can trust the players around him and the coach around him, I think they're going to have a really successful year.
Hey, Bears fans, Steinhoffels is a proud partner of the Chicago Bears and now open in Orland Park. Steinhoffels is Chicagoland's furniture and mattress leader with the largest selection to fit every style and budget and is 100% employee-owned. Shop in-store and online at steinhoffels.com.
So, Chase, 2 years ago, Cole Kmet had over 70 catches. Last year, I think he was the most underutilized offensive player the Bears had. I keep saying that. And he had mid-40 catches. And then you think of you being around Ben Johnson, the tight end coach, now Ben Johnson, the head coach. Tight end point of emphasis, or tight end, you kind of earn your spot within the offense, and then you go from there?
Well, I think this is what I love about Ben Johnson's offense is that it starts from the inside out. You start with the running back, the two-headed monster they had last year, okay? In Detroit, you look at DeAndre Swift. I thought he was underutilized the first 6-7 games of the year. He started getting more carries as the year went on. And then you look at the tight end, they played a lot of 12 personnel. I imagine in Detroit, they're going to play a lot of 12 personnel here. And it's going to start, hey, if you want to zone us out, Cole Kmet, you should have 7-8 catches a game between Colston and you, and get Colston going. And he's a sort of a do-it-all type guy. And I think they're building it a certain way. And you can tell on paper, right? You have some good weapons outside. Yes, absolutely. And then how do you get Luther Burden some touches? Like Roma Dunze and DJ Moore, to me, are one of maybe the most underrated duos in the league if they're playing up to standard. So you put all that together and you take the pressure off Caleb and say, hey, let's start inside out. I think it's going to be a good year for the tight ends.
They got one of you here. Veteran quarterback Case Keenum. Entering year 13.
That's my guy, too.
Why is he your guy? Tell me.
So I've known Case for a long time. Texas high school football.
Yeah.
Went to a small school in Houston and set just about every NCAA record there was. And it comes to passing. I think he played 15 years in high school or 15 years in college. But he's going after my 14 years. He's entering year 13. And, Case is the perfect guy for Caleb. I go to a Christian Dude Ranch camp with a bunch of ex-NFL, well, I guess some NFL guys that are still my friend, whether it be like Case Keenum, Andy Dalton, Ben Roethlisberger's there, some other quarterbacks are there too. It's just our families hanging out together. And every year, man, I leave going, you know what? I had the most fun with Case. He's just a funny dude, but understands he's been in about every situation possible. And I think that, obviously, I think there was a little bit of stink made over this Caleb Williams film thing. He doesn't watch film. Okay. I think that you have a guy like Case to sort of teach or for Caleb to lean on in situations in the quarterback room. Hey, like, Caleb, what do you think about this? It's sort of how I was with Mitch Trubisky. It's sort of how I was my entire career. It's a veteran mentor, and there's a fine line on how to walk that line as a veteran mentor. Do you give too much information? Do you not give a lot? Do you just wait for him to come to you? There's a dynamic there, and that starter backup relationship. You can ask Tom Brady, you can ask Drew Brees, you can ask anyone. It's important because it's the first guy they go to most of the time when they get off the field. Is, hey, what'd you see? What'd you see? Tom Brady did it with Blaine Gabbert. Drew Brees did it with me. And I think that's sort of the ear that Caleb Williams is going to have if he utilizes them the correct way.
So, Chase, the first game of the year, Kevin O'Connell's going to get ready to go against Dennis Allen. You got to know him. Give us a little snippet about what we should expect in the development of the defense.
Yeah, that's a great question. DA is a great coach. I was with DA when he was, I feel like I've been with everyone, guys. My goodness. I was with DA when he was a defensive backs coach for us in like 09, 10, and 11. And I think he makes a really good defensive coordinator, right? Attacking scheme. I feel like you're going to see more blitzing. Now, I haven't seen any of this just based on his scheme, this third down package. They call it Shake Silver. It's sort of the Greg Williams type scheme where you're bringing 3 off an edge or 3 off this edge, and then all of a sudden they'll drop 8 on you, right? So I think they're going to utilize their backers well. I think the secondary, I think they're going to be more aggressive in terms of challenging underneath throws, which is a good thing. They're going to give up some deep passes, but that's sort of the mindset that he brings. And look, everything that a head coach does, I think the most important hires are their defensive coordinator, especially if you're an offensive coach. And I think they hit it out of the park with him.
All right, a couple more if you got a minute. One, I don't want to bypass Tyson Bagent. The guy has worked his tail off.
Yeah.
And I see a bright future in Tyson. I'm all in on Tyson Bagent as well. As a guy who wants to be that guy and get playing time and knows he's behind a number 1 overall pick, what advice do you give to a guy like Tyson Bagent?
Yeah, look, my career arc was never, hey, I'm going up. There were some lows, there were some valleys. I was cut multiple times. There was like times I only started 5 games in my career. You just got to be consistent. And look, this is the business of the NFL. And unfortunately, right, or whatever you want to say, this is just the hand you're dealt. It doesn't mean that you're never going to get a chance to start again, because I thought he played well in the games that he's played, but there is a certain way to do things. And hey, if your number's ready, you got to be, if your number's called, you have to be ready, whether it be injury or what's up. Let's knock on some wood for that not to happen. But I do think that just being ready and being in the right situation, because I had a lot of times in free agency where I would maybe get X amount more than this scenario, but I'd choose this scenario because it was better for my career, for elongating my career. I just think the longer you can stay, the more helpful you can be to the starter, the better your relationships with the coaches, all the intangible stuff, really you have to build up, because on the field stuff will come, but you can make a really great living, have your brain intact like mine is right now and not getting hit for playing backup in the NFL. I know that's not what he wants, and that's not what I wanted, but eventually you're always working toward that next step.
All right, last question. You posted on Twitter, so I want to hear what the feedback was. Tom, okay. You'll get a kick out of this. He posted, "Are you a wins is a quarterback stat person or wins are not a quarterback stat person. Why or why not? So what is your answer? And then, Tom, I want to hear your answer. They're the only player that gets the record attached to their performance. It's crazy.
It is crazy. Look, I think that, and this was specifically about a Joe Burrow topic we had, but when it comes to wins, I think it's so incredibly detailed because you could play the best game you've ever played in your entire life, but 21 other starters suck that day. And if you're just being completely honest, I hate saying it like that. And so a guy could drop a pass or your defense could give up 30 points and you still threw for 400 yards. Ultimately, I think there's no bigger component of a quarterback's play than does he win, right? Like look at Tom Brady in those years that he was winning. Now he ended up putting a lot of stats. It's a very, very, very fine line to walk. I tend to be that wins are not a quarterback stat type guy. However, there's no more important position on the field that translates to wins other than quarterback. So then I skew that way as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not an easy answer.
To me in the modern day era of football, it is probably attachable and analytically to the quarterback position. But when you look at Bob Greasy, Terry Bradshaw, Jim McMahon, in the era where the running game set the precedence of the offensive performance, Troy, we could go through so many guys that, their success was as much related to the offensive line and the running back position. But now in the last 20 years, it's probably more to the quarterback than it is those other, 10 guys on offense.
Yeah, it's a very...
Well, tell the Burrow stat. The Burrow stat, like you posted it. If you don't have it off, in 8 losses last season, Bengals gave up 34 points a game and scored 28. Team scoring 28 or more would have been 140 and 22 last season, but they lost 8 games.
So 8 of those 22 losses,
right?
When you scored 28 points, and I'm trying to get these guys on my show because they're like against Burrow to understand like. You cannot. He threw for 4,934 yards and 43 touchdowns and 9 interceptions.
Both led the NFL.
You can't play much better. Like it just if you're around a better team, if they're built better in Cincy, he doesn't feel the need to have to show out and then have these 5 touchdown games, and he can delegate more. But he felt the need to because they were giving up so many dadgum points.
Joe Burrow is the modern day
Dan Marino.
No, from the Cincinnati or from the San Diego Chargers, Dan Fouts.
Well, I say Dan Marino. I fear that he's going to have. They've both been to one. They both went to one Super Bowl. Yep. And is that would be that would.
I thought you were going to say Phillip Rivers for a little bit because that's sort of
that's too. That too. Anyway,
I consider him more of a modern day guy. When you look at Dan Fouts and what he did back in that program, thousands of passing yards and never really winning.
Chase, that was awesome. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work. You're doing great.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, Chase.
This podcast is brought to you by the official beer partner of your Chicago Bears. Tastes like Miller Time, Chicago. Go to MillerLite.com/BearsPod to find delivery options near you. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. Special thanks to our guest, former Bears quarterback Chase Daniel. For Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak. Thanks for listening, everyone. Please subscribe now on the Chicago Bears official app, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Bear down, everybody.